What does the EPCI truly seek from the OSV operator?
Yeah, what we're looking for from the OSV operators, there's three basic things. Safety, we want quality of operation and personnel, and for a reasonable price. And what that tells us, if we look at safety, it starts with the people. It looks at the processes of the company that we're hiring, and we want to see that commitment from its management, from the company as a whole, not just on the individual vessels that we hire, with respect to the equipment, the personnel training, and the processes in place to assure a safe operation and prevention of injuries or incidents. With respect to the mechanical component, what we desire is assurance that that vessel is going to come to work for us and stay working and not cause delays or problems within the operations that we have. And that gets down into areas like assurance of the mechanical performance to pass the inspections initially by the clients, as well as assurance that we're following our maintenance and repair plans and carry the sufficient spare parts or have them readily accessible in the country of operation to guarantee our results. Then with respect to personnel, what we want to know is that we've got good, trained, quality, competent personnel working those vessels and responsible for the key activities on those vessels, which further gives us that assurance of safety and mechanical performance.
Now, another talking point was the LR1 contract, and you introduced the concept of LR-1.
Yes, and so our clients, particularly Saudi Aramco and the Qatar Petroleum, they operate, being government-owned companies, they operate on a mandate. We call it L1, which is we'll submit our proposals. We'll typically submit a technical proposal first. Once we're considered technically qualified, the commercial proposals are then open. And the way it works, L1 means essentially the lowest technically acceptable proposal is the winning proposal, lowest price that is. However, a query was raised about, is that still a valid prospect? And the answer is yes, we go in at L1, but more than typically our clients will call us in to discuss, and there ends up being a bit of quid pro quo on proposals. So it's the L1 price that is submitted, the low price is usually not the final contract price.
This was a very commercially sensitive audience. If we look at the questions that were asked, they've had 4 or 5 years, some longer, very, very tough times. Now we're seeing signs of recovery. We're seeing signs of inflationary pressures return, yet the rates seem to be static.
Yeah, this is the true case. And what we're seeing is the same thing with respect to our own business. So it's not a divergence between, say, the EPCI contractor and the OSV market. Our prices also are remaining static, and in fact, we're getting an increasing pressure for our prices to not only be static, but to go lower, because the clients have taken this on board and have seen that this uptick in market due to the oil price and demand, and they've introduced a lot more competitors into our market. So previously, say even 2 years ago, there were only 3 competitors, or maybe max 4, for say the KSA and Qatari markets. Now there are 10 people competing for the same work in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They've added 7 LTA contractors. So the intent behind that is now I've got more people competing for, maybe it's more work, but the ratio is significantly stilted towards the number of competitors. So my pricing pressures is, in fact, I would say even higher than it was 2 years ago.
And finally, Douglas, you're a first-time attendee of this conference. What are your impressions?
Quite impressed with the density of the presentations and the content that I have seen so far. I think it's very valuable, and I take particular pleasure in being here, is realizing that I'm one of the client types that's here, and seeing the perspective coming from my supply chain. So very good divergence, and I think it's a good idea to, as you guys have done, to have a session that's only clients sitting up at the front telling our perspective on things, than hearing what our supply chain has to say about that.